Your energy is your currency, and Mars in Aries will allow you to explore it, both through the transit, which is now until 2021, as well as the retrograde, which is September 9th to November 13th. Hi all, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to my Cosmic Corner of the internet, where we discuss all things astrology. And today, Mars in Aries retrograde. Yes, what this means collectively, as well as for your sign, where this Mars retrograde energy can manifest within your life. We're talking about it all. But before we dive in, if you could do me a favor, turn the bell on for notifications every time I post some cosmic content, comment, subscribe, all the things. I would really appreciate it if you find value within this video. But without further ado, let's dive in. So the first thing you need to know is that Mars is in its rulership in Aries. So it is like a supercharged Mars. It's feeling right at home. It knows where it belongs and is able to Mars its most aggressive, feisty Mars. Aries is symbolic of the child. It's the first sign of the zodiac, and it symbolizes kind of the childlike enthusiasm and desire to try new things and conquer new challenges. On its shadow side, Mars in Aries can be a little impatient and a little volatile. Like if you think about children, they operate off pure instinct and pure impulses. And with Mars representing how we take action, how we advocate for ourselves, how we defend ourselves, a lot of this defensiveness can come from a very impulsive place, just feeling something and reacting to that. So often when we react rather than respond, we're reacting because of our own framework or our own pain tape, the past experiences when we have felt disenfranchised or out of power or out of our own integrity, and we react because of that wound, because we want to be on the aggressive. Aries is the warrior, so it turns itself around and is like, how dare you? And it comes from a very impulsive place, reacting to perhaps our past or our pain tape or where we've been wounded. So we operate on the offense. So it's so essential during this transit to notice your triggers, that sensitive part of you that automatically when someone touches on it or touches near it, you just feel inclined to react right away, like, how dare you, and go on the offense. There's probably something to that you're hiding some pain to respond in such an kind of aggressive and volatile way. And acknowledging even those triggers that you encounter in media, on social media, in conversations, and noticing how it triggers you to react right away. When you react from that kind of impulsive, instinctive place, you can step out of your own power and your own integrity. Unfortunately, there are other factors at play with 2020 where people can leverage your triggers and your reactions against you, putting certain imagery in media or kind of swaying the general public in social media towards certain things. It can, if you operate from a very just kind of a sudden impulsive place, you can miss out on your authentic truth, what you truly believe, and doing your own research. Our triggers, what makes us want to stand up right away and where we've been hurt, can make us easy to manipulate or very malleable. So it's really essential that whenever you take in any stimuli during this Mars and Aries transit, that you really contemplate, take a moment before responding, getting Twitter fingers or, standing up. Just take a moment, breathe through it, say, hey, what part of my physical body, because Aries does rule our physical body, is triggered by this information? Is my stomach locking out? That can indicate that this is a piece of information that makes you feel powerless, as this is our solar plexus chakra, our power center. If you feel your throat close up, have you been in a space where you weren't able to speak your truth and that's where you felt disempowered? Does your head hurt? That could be an indication that your third eye center, that you know this information isn't quite true. You intuitively feel that it's not quite true. So acknowledging also bodily where that kind of pain and sort of trigger comes from, because oftentimes when something like comes in, some sort of stimuli that we feel inclined to stand up for, it's like our body locks out in some way or our body reacts in some way. So really acknowledging that during this Mars and Aries transit. This is going to sound very simplistic, but breathing is such an amazing skill to master, especially in those situations when you feel a trigger of some sort. Just taking a beat to breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. That 6 seconds or whatever it is provides your brain more oxygen so you can respond in a more thoughtful way. It gives your body a moment to kind of soothe those muscles that like 10 step right away to react. Breathing is truly such an asset, especially during this transit. A beneficial way to utilize this energy is working out is super constructive. Maybe something that totally burns out your energy levels, like martial arts or kickboxing, because Mars in Aries is very feisty and it can be very volatile. So kind of putting that anger and that violence into something constructive that burns your body out, or anything like running, anything that connects you to your body, because the more you connect to your body, the more you can kind of listen for those triggers and the way that your body reacts to certain stimuli that comes in. Mars will be retrograde from September 9th to November 13th. And when a planet is retrograde, it means that from our vantage point here on planet Earth, it appears that that planet is moving backwards and it's closest to Earth. So we feel its effects very strongly. During the Mars and Aries retrograde journey, we could feel very disempowered. Mars in Aries wants to feel free. It wants to feel independent. It wants to feel like it has space to roam. And with the retrograde, and during this journey, it also will square Jupiter, square Saturn, square Pluto, we could find that we feel stuck, or that there are forces beyond us that are making us feel stuck and disenfranchised and not in our power. When a planet is retrograde, it is an internal journey to introspect on what that planet means for you, on what it represents for you. So with Mars retrograde, it's contemplating, how do I advocate for myself? How do I take action? What makes me feel in my personal power? How do I give my power away? What triggers me, and what response do those triggers elicit? These are all questions during the Mars retrograde. This time might feel really frustrating because Mars is also how we are motivated. And during this transit, you could find that you feel blocked in terms of motivation or how to find it. So for example, if Mars is retrograde in your 6th house, that's you, my Scorpio risings, you want to work out, you want to advocate for your health, but you might find during this transit, you really have to dig deep for it. And to know where your rising sign will feel it, there are timestamps below, and I'll dive into it sign by sign. And think of this opportunity as an opportunity to really recalibrate your body. So really empowering yourself via regular movement, sleep, diet. Aries is very firmly connected to body. You might find the more that you take care of your physical body, the more you are able to take care of everything else. So yes, you are passionate about these causes, but if you are burning yourself out, protesting every single day, you're not going to be as effective. So this is a really opportunity for deep physical calibration. If you are burning yourself out, protesting every single day, you're not going to be as effective. So this is a really opportunity for deep physical healing. Anything in your life that has not been properly healed, that made you feel disempowered, that took you out of your integrity, this is an opportunity to heal those aspects of yourself, to notice where in your body feels triggered and to heal those parts. So it could be a really powerful time for anything like yoga, something like Reiki, something like massage. And oftentimes, if we've experienced trauma or something really horrible, our body remembers that. It's stored within that muscle casing, that fascia, that muscle memory. So it could be a really beneficial time of healing those experiences within our body through physical means, or also through spiritual, or perhaps, in best case, a marriage of both. Collectively, I think we can expect to see a lot of perhaps protest, or a lot of people kind of fighting against how they have felt disenfranchised or how they don't feel in power. It is worth noting that during this transit is voting. So we could find that people don't feel like they have a voice, or they're not able to advocate for themselves, or they feel like it's suppressed, or they feel like it's rigged. Remember, it's not a super happy Mars transit. It's squaring Saturn, it's squaring Pluto. So the square to Saturn is feeling stuck by structures, government, rules, regulation. Mars in Aries wants to feel free, and Saturn is like, no, no, no. And with Mars squaring Pluto, it reveals the darker underbelly of those primal impulses, or the darker aspects of humanity that is a result of kind of the parts of us that are very primal and very instinctive, and revealing those things. So collectively, we're going to see some uglier parts resurface, particularly around kind of primal parts of our existence, or those kind of humanity instincts that kind of upheave. And we'll also find an exploration of how we give our power away, and how we feel disenfranchised by our government, by systems that are beyond us, that are meant to empower us, but Mars retrograde will reveal it's designed to keep us out of our own power, out of our own integrity. So through Mars retrograde, just noticing your triggers, those things that make you respond, noticing how those triggers can be used to manipulate you, so eliciting this really strong or volatile or violent response from you, and then choosing to respond rather than react. There's such a difference, because reacting is that pain tape, is that part of your body that's like, and has to defend yourself. Responding is taking a moment, thinking, okay, who is telling me this message? How do they want me to respond? How can I respond in a way that is true to my integrity and keeps me in my power? So overall, the strongest things that I could recommend for this Mars in Aries retrograde journey is to really be observant of those moments when you feel triggered, when you feel called to react right away rather than respond from a really mindful, integral place. To notice how you advocate for yourself, how you give your power away, where that goes to connect to your body, to noticing how your body filters those emotional processes, and healing those parts of your body if you feel so inclined, or if that's something that resonates, connecting to your body in a deeper way, and realizing how exercising can kind of promote your own personal power. So to get more information of where this Mars retrograde can manifest within your life, I'll break it down sign by sign. Aries rising, Mars is retrograde in your first house, so you can expect to feel perhaps a lack of energy, or have to kind of come within for motivation. You could find it's harder to assert yourself, or you're feeling a little weaker, a little shyer than normal. You could find that you are being really thoughtful around the clothes that you wear and the kind of persona that you exude, in a way that you want to portray your own inner strength, your own inner warrior. Taurus rising, Mars is retrograde in your 12th house. So this could be having some dreams around ways that you give your power away, or processing some past hurts around masculinity or around sexuality while you are sleeping, or spiritually healing those wounds. You could find with Mars retrograde in your 12th house that you are exhausted. It's like, seriously, your power center, Mars, is in your 12th house, so it's like tucked away. You could find that you're a lot less social, likely to go out, that you feel a little isolated. I really recommend leaning into those experiences, because it's going to be tremendously healing, especially if you do have some wounding around Mars-like themes of sexuality, of masculinity, etc., because it can be really beneficial to kind of turn the lens inward of how you felt disempowered, and how you can step back into your power and back into your integrity. Gemini rising, Mars will be retrograde in your 11th house. So disagreements that you've had with friends could most certainly resurface. And the energy is in Aries, which is very volatile. It's very instinctive. It doesn't really harbor on past hurts too much, but when something needs to come out, it'll certainly come out. So there could be some disagreements where things kind of bubble up or get to a heating point, but you're able to move forward. Aries doesn't stew on things, like get it out of their system and they let it go. So some instances like that could come up, but you also need to consider, who are the people I surround myself with? And do they elicit a really mindful integrity kind of response from me, or a very reactive version of me? Do I feel like I'm in my power when I'm around these people? Do I feel like we all operate from this kind of primal infantile space or from a very kind of integral space. Some things to contemplate. My Cancer risings, Mars will be retrograde in your 10th house. So it could be some disagreements with your father figure, with an authority figure from the past could resurface. And a lot of these things might make you feel really infantile and really small. And this transit is meant to illuminate your own power and to kind of put it in a broader perspective. You could be put on the spot in terms of your work to show up for yourself, to advocate for yourself. You might feel like your talents and your value isn't being acknowledged at the place that you work, and you have to stick up for yourself. And if you listen to past old pain tapes of just wanting to be passive aggressive about it, that's not doing you any good. This is a time to really contemplate, am I being paid for what I'm worth? Am I being strong for am I being seen for the powerful businesswoman or nurse or whatever your occupation is? Is your power being acknowledged? Are you in a place of leadership? Are your skills being recognized? These are all things to consider while Mars is retrograde within your 10th house, as well as how you assert and advocate for yourself to authority figures. My Leo risings, Mars is retrograde within your 9th house. This could be a time that you have some disagreements with those in your spiritual community, or maybe you're planning a trip with someone you all can't kind of connect, or if there's someone you did kind of lose touch with who you met perhaps studying abroad or in a spiritual context, or maybe at school resurfaces. If you are in higher education with Mars retrograde here, there might be some delays to the journey that you wanted to set out on, and that might be something that is it feels very defeating for you. Just hold tight. You know, there's no rush on stepping into your wisdom and your power and your knowledge. So use this Mars retrograde to really, really sort out what sort of information makes me feel the most powerful. What sort of wisdom do I wish to accumulate? What sort of life experiences keep me in my power and my integrity? How do I want to use myself to advocate for, you know, the spiritual concepts, the religious concepts, the higher education concepts that I truly believe in? Virgo rising, Mars is retrograde in your 8th house. And this has a myriad of possibilities, so I'll just name a couple. There could be disagreements from the past regarding alimony or child support, or investments with a business partner resurface. This is shared assets and shared money, and Mars is angry. It's wanting to advocate, it's wanting to fight for itself. So for example, maybe you signed, you know, a certain agreement for child support and it no longer feels fair. It now feels very disempowering for you because you're in a different life circumstance. Or maybe your business partner, you know, you've had problems kind of stewing for a while, and Mars retrograde brings the lens inward. So you're like, but wait, I'm stepping onto my power by not saying anything. And with Aries, rather than getting at it, it is a very reactive sign. But remember, take that beat, breathe before you react right away to stay in your power and your integrity. Libra rising, you might have some disagreements in regards to relationships. So it could be exes from the past come back and they're like coming at you with all this stuff, or your current partner is a little bit more feisty and a little bit more volatile. Ensuring that you approach these conversations from a space of responding rather than reacting, because oftentimes in relationships we can kind of want to trigger the other's pain bodies because we're kind of addicted to that experience of fighting. See if you can evolve beyond it. Mars retrograde will have us turn that kind of outward expression inward to really analyze, why is it that I pick fights? Why am I kind of addicted to this feeling of aggression in relationships? What do I truly get out of it, and can I evolve past it? These are all questions that you could ask yourself during this time. Scorpio rising, Mars will be retrograde in your 6th house, so past squabbles with a coworker could rear their ugly head, or you could find you have less energy to like go out and do errands or to do exercise, things that, you know, improve your body. Since you are ruled by Mars, Scorpio rising, this will definitely be a pivotal experience for you, and it's mostly filtering through your day-to-day world. So the errands that you do, the exercise that you do, your health, so the food that you eat, as well as service and work, the actual act of working. You could find that you're being asked at work to do tasks that are not in your job description, or make you feel disempowered and not really acknowledging what you do bring to the table. And this might be an opportunity to reflect on, how do I assert myself for work? How do I advocate for the sort of jobs and projects that I love doing and I feel really powerful doing? You might find that your motivation to work out feels like shriveled up, or, you know, kind of slows down a little bit, and you have to consciously decide, no, I feel more energetic when I work out. So even though I'd rather sleep for that extra hour, I'm gonna wake up early and I'm gonna make it happen. It makes you kind of muscle through it. So you'll have to really dig deep to love yourself enough to advocate for yourself, for your health, to make those decisions, to muscle your way to the gym, grab the salad. It's not gonna feel really easy with Mars retrograde. It's like, it's not a even flow of energy. You'll have to really draw inward in order to take action for yourself. Sagittarius rising, Mars is retrograde within your 5th house. So you could find that during this time, past hookups could resurface, or past sexual experiences could resurface. There could be hobbies that you forgot about that you suddenly want to put a lot more attention into. You could have some squabbles with your kids if you have them, or squabbles about your kids, or whether or not you want to have kids. It could be a time that you're not able to do the things that you want to do, the things that are fun, or you just have less motivation to do them. Just remember that, you know, with such a Sagittarius rising, your lust for life is your power. So remembering to intentionally carve out times to have fun for yourself, to have those hobbies, to create things that you're passionate about. These are all worthwhile things to dive into. Capricorn rising, Mars will be retrograde within your 4th house, and this could definitely be disagreements with family members. Perhaps from the past they resurface for talking about, or new things bubble up where you have to talk about it. It could be disagreements around a house, around a property. It could be, you know, wanting something so bad and being like, I want to be a homeowner, that you overlook certain important parts of it. And rather than, you know, if people are saying, hey, there's a couple of issues with the property, there can be a desire to want to muscle through it. With Mars and Aries, it's like, no, I want it, it's mine. Try to find that beat to respond, rather than writing people off who are saying bad things about the house that you want to buy as being crazy. Take that moment to listen to them and say, hey, is there something wrong with the foundation? Should I look a little deeper into the walls? Taking that beat to respond to a huge decision like that in an artful way. You could also have disagreements with roommates, about your roommates, around household duties, things like that are all up for review. Remember to stay in your power. Listen to the other point of view, but also advocate for yourself, because you deserve an empowering sanctuary, somewhere where you feel safe, where you feel like you don't have to react right away or constantly be triggered, where you genuinely feel in your power. You definitely deserve that. Aquarius rising, Mars is retrograde in your 3rd house of communication, of neighborhood, and you can have some disagreement with your physical neighbors or those you are around. You could find that you are being like triggered in daily conversations, or you feel like your voice isn't being heard, or the more you put your voice out, like you have a blog or social media, the more it elicits this really like intense reaction from people. It's really essential not to take things personally. It's one of the 4 agreements if you read that book, and just realize that people communicate based on their framework and what they're dealing with. And of course, staying mindful about, you know, doing the best that you can and being the best person that you can, but also realizing it, if a really intense reaction comes from nowhere, just wish that person well, because unfortunately with Mars retrograde in your 3rd house, a lot of the things that you say could just trigger people or elicit a lot of anger. So just, you know, sending them good feelings and goodwill, and continuing to speak and stay in your truth. It comes from nowhere. Just wish that person well, because unfortunately with Mars retrograde in your 3rd house, a lot of the things that you say could just trigger people or elicit a lot of anger. So just, you know, sending them good feelings and goodwill, and continuing to speak and stay in your truth. Other possibilities are just disagreements with siblings, cousins, extended family. Pisces rising, Mars will be retrograde in your 2nd house. So There could be some squabbles around the money that you earn. There could be a disagreement regarding your income. You might feel disempowered by your income. Perhaps you know that you're worth more, and this is an opportunity to really dive deep to find your value from within and to advocate for it. Mars is how we advocate for ourselves. You might have to go to your boss and be like, hey, I do these extra tasks. I've created this much revenue, and this is what I deserve. To fight for yourself financially. There could be disagreements around belongings. Perhaps belongings, Aries governs childhood, so perhaps belongings from the past that you have disagreements with your spouse, with your partner, like, oh, you've got to get rid of this, but that impulsive part of yourself, or that kind of childlike, infantile part of yourself will be like, no, I need it, it's mine. And to take a beat and think, is this logical? Is this rational? Would giving away this item free up more space within my home and my life to expand in a positive way? To really be mindful of the possessions that you have and how they elicit that kind of impulsive trigger within you, and to be mindful of that. Friends, in short, my Mars in Aries advice: exercise regularly, connect to your body, notice where in your body tenses up or tightens up when you receive certain information. Take a breath before responding to any situation. Your body needs the oxygen. You can really respond from a more artful way. Think before responding. Am I responding from my past hurts, from my past pain, from my past experiences, or am I responding from my higher self? Notice where you feel triggered and take a moment before reacting to it, because oftentimes when we are angry, when we are highly emotional, we are more easily to manipulate. We are more malleable. So staying within your integrity, staying within your power, taking your power back in the ways that you let it leak by eliciting these intense emotional reactions to those who are not worth your energy. Your energy is your currency, and Mars in Aries will allow you to explore it, both through the transit, which is now until 2021, as well as the retrograde, which is September 9th to November 13th. Friends, thank you so much for watching. If you could drop a comment and tell me where it's transiting within your house, within your chart, I would love to know. If you found any value in this video, if you could like, comment, subscribe, turn the bell on, all the things, I would so appreciate it. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCommentAstrology. I run a Magic Monday every Monday morning at IGTV, which basically gives you a day-by-day breakdown of what the week's energy is really good for and how you can lean into it. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.